You guys, I'm here to pick up Brian, and today it's a very cool day because they're playing Christmas music. Let me plug in the microphone. Hopefully that makes a difference. And it is November 14th. It is also 85 degrees outside. That's kind of ridiculous that I have to have my AC cranked in all the way, but I'm fine with that. It's just kind of weird. It feels like the summer outside and they're playing Christmas music. So Brian, we found, so I'm looking for a desk for the office for Brian, and apparently the one that I was looking at on OfferUp, they just sold it. But this is just it's too beat up.
Sexy.
Not like Brian.
Why did you do that?
What?
The top triangle real quick.
So we haven't been vlogging lately because we've been busy printing out film. I have some film printed out for my personal brand, and also we've been having a lot of work coming through the door. This is all the knife and garment from Amy, and I have some of the stuff that I printed out in the dark room. I've been having a lot of questions from you guys about screen printing, which I'm very happy about because I always like to answer questions. So today we're gonna go over some of those questions, and I definitely miss vlogging, but sometimes my days start at 5 in the morning and they end at 10. And I work like 2 minutes away from here, so we get here like in 2 minutes, huh Brian? So he started working with me and now his days are as long as mine. But anyways, today we have a little bit of time. So one of the questions was how to print white ink on like black garments or just darker garments in general. So one of the jobs that I'm doing for knife and garment just happens to have white ink. So we're gonna burn that, set it up, and then kind of show you the steps of what I go through when I start printing white, especially now in the winter time when your ink likes to get a little stiff. All right, so that right there would be the last screen that I'm burning for today. I just finished burning quite a bit of screens, so I'm gonna be in here doing some of that work tomorrow. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna set up that one color that I was talking about with white ink. So it is down there. It's gonna be that one. So let me tape up the screen. Before I put the ink in and all that stuff, I'm gonna show you guys the step of what I do. Or I'm gonna show you guys the steps of what I do to get the white ink to come out looking nice and crisp and not so fuzzy like some of the pictures that I've been sent. For some of you guys that are getting started, I always recommend to have a T-square. It is the most important tool, I think. I always use it to center my designs. And I also use that registration mark that's right there, because that registration mark gives me the center of the design, which is right here. And it gives me a straight line so that I know my design is straight to the palette and center to the palette. So I would say, if for some reason you don't have those registration marks, then you might want to mark some lines on your board to make sure that your image is not far over to one side, and you know you're gonna have some off-center designs. And I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, so if you don't have registration marks on your design, this is probably something you want to do to make sure your design is centered. You can probably grab a line here within the first 2 inches from the side, and then 2 inches from your other side. Mark a straight line all the way down. And you can always draw a couple of lines across your board, including a center one. So now, if you had a Sharpie that works, you can see the lines. And you probably want to use something black. That way when you have your screen, you can see the lines and you can see that you are centered and you're straight. That way you're not printing a design that's too far over, and when you have it on your chest printed, it looks like it's just off center. If you're gonna print white, you definitely need a flash unit. So let's start warming this flash up while we tape up the screen. And what we're gonna do is, okay, first of all, if you're gonna do white and you want like a soft print, you're probably looking for water-based prints. And water-based, you really don't need to flash, because that's gonna give you a vintage look on your t-shirt with just like 2 passes and out. But if you want that bright white, I like to use the, well, this is a mix that I created, but let me show you guys the gallon. So what I do is I order a gallon of that poly white, and then I order a quart bucket. Oh, it gives it a softer hand on the print. If you guys need that information, there you go. And also, if you have polyester shirts, then you can use that white and you're not gonna suffer from a dye migration. If you have cotton shirts, it works for cotton shirts. If you have women's shirts that they have spandex in it, then the ink won't crack. For those situations, when the shirt comes out of the dryer and it's hot, don't stretch it right away. You have to wait until it cools down, because the ink, it's still kind of like, you know, it's not dry all the way, so you're just gonna crack it. You have to wait till it cools down to check and make sure everything is mixed correctly. All right, so a lot of people don't really believe in warming up your palettes to get started. There are a lot of videos that I watch where people hold their temperature gun to the palette to do, I don't know, some crazy things. All you have to really do is bring your flash underneath, or, you know, bring your flash to your palette, let it warm up for a little bit, and then we're gonna print the sample on the Pellon. And the reason why we warm up the palette is because this ink, and not all inks, but this ink specifically for me, it's a little stiff. It's gonna be hard to show you, but you can see, you know, it's pretty stiff. So what I'm gonna do is warm up that palette, spray some adhesive on this Pellon, which is like a test sheet, and I'm gonna run the squeegee a couple of times to get that white ink to smooth down a little bit, because it will with the heat. And I think all inks smooth out with the heat. So even once I get started, especially now in the winter, I would set my flash right here, and I normally stand right here to print. So what I do is I load the shirt, bring it around so that it comes in hot, and then I start printing. And that's only to start, because I want the ink to get moving. Once I get the ink to loosen up a little bit, I'll just move the flash right back to that station, so that once I'm going, the shirt gets a little chance to cool down on there, and then I print on here, because by then the boards are pretty warm. All right, so it's a decent sized image, so we're gonna borrow this squeegee since it already had white ink in there. And we're gonna load a little bit more because we're printing these shirts tomorrow. This is just to answer that one question that I had about printing white ink. So I mean, you guys can tell this is pretty stiff, but it's okay. That's not a problem. All right, so the palette's nice and warm. We're gonna spray. See, a lot of people also like to spray the boards. I don't like to do that. So what I do is I spray the back side of my Pellon, then I just flip it over, and it should stick. So something that you can do is just kind of run your squeegee over that hot board a couple of times. It's already starting to loosen up. So you can tell it's not as stiff as it was. So now it should be easier for you to push the ink through your image. It's hard to focus. So I think that's just the best advice that I can give you. Definitely warm up your boards. And if you have wooden boards, I recommend you to get the metal boards before you even try to do some type of work like this, because these are definitely gonna last you longer. They have the rubber top, so they're not gonna hurt. They're not gonna get hurt or burnt if you leave them under the flash for too long. So this is definitely, I think, good advice to invest in some good screen printing boards, because the wooden ones, they used to suck for me. That was the first thing I invested in once I got my press, because it came with wooden boards. First amount of money I made, I went and got me these, and I have not regretted. Trust me, it's a good investment. So let me know if this was helpful. If it wasn't, I can do a bigger print in the future. Tequila. So I think that's it for today, you guys. I hope that my tips were helpful. Don't forget to warm up your boards. You know, play with your ink, move it around until it loosens up, and you're gonna be able to push it right through the screen. If you pull, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of people have this argument about pulling or pushing. You know, I think it is what it is. If you learn that way, then keep it that way. But I like to pull. For some reason, I don't like to push. If you see the automatic machines, which print thousands and thousands of shirts, you don't ever see them pulling. When you go wash your screens at a gas station, you know, you don't pull the squeegee to get the water out of your window, you know. So I kind of see it that way. And even though it works when you pull, I don't like it. But if it works for you, then it works for you. That is my advice. Thank you guys for watching, and we will be back in here tomorrow. Hi, Brian.
I won't. I'll be home.
Nah, he'll be here. He'll be here. This is Brian trying to see if he looks good on video. So he thinks that I'm not gonna load this on the vlog, but it's gonna be a part of the vlog, bro. I don't care. I don't care.